Hey everyone, welcome back to your weekly market outlook. This is for the 1st of December 2025, and let's get started with last week's number here. And obviously, with the US government shutdown, a lot of the schedules has been shifted around, and we didn't get our PCE numbers as we wrap up the month of November. So last week's numbers from the US, we're not getting a lot of information there. I think what's really interesting here is if we take a look at the Australian inflation number, it does tick up a lot. Anticipated was for an increase to 3.6% from 3.5%. We got 3.8% instead. So that was actually a really hot inflation number there for Australia. And RBNZ also cutting interest rates by 25 basis points as per expected. Going forward, I don't think we are going to be expecting any more cuts in the near term from the RBNZ. But yeah, taking a look at the situation there last week, that's pretty much it. And also last week, we have Thanksgiving in the US. We also have the glitch in the futures market there. So, liquidity kind of gets stepped up a little bit last week. So, we do see a lot of volatility last week. All right. This week, as I mentioned before, because of that government shutdown in the US, a lot of the schedule has been shifted. And if you take a look at it, this is obviously the first Friday of December, but we're not going to be getting our non-farm payroll as well as the unemployment numbers from the US. We are going to be looking at about mid-December before we get that number there. And also we're going to be skipping a month. The one that was released about 2 weeks ago was the September number, the October number, and the November number is going to be put together as one piece there, and that's going to be released mid-December. So that's kind of the shift that a lot of traders should be aware of. So going into this week here, we're not going to be looking at a lot of key information from the market. Obviously, the PCE numbers has now been shifted into this Friday. And if we take a look at what's really important here, I don't think there's actually a lot to look at. I know the ADP number is still going to be released on Wednesday, but people are just going to be focusing on the real NFE number released by the BLS. Again, that has been pushed back because of the government shutdown, and obviously the data that has to be combined for October and November to just keep everything up in speed there. So we are going to go back into normal scheduling in 2026. But yeah, for the last month of December, this is what it is. All right. Let's move on to the technicals here. For the Aussie USD here, very stable currency. As I said, this is something that we have been expecting, that this is likely going to be in that range between 64 to 67 cents. And that has been the case if we take a look at the movement here on the Aussie for the past 6 months. So this is pretty stable as it is. We're still going to be looking at about 65 cents as the pivot here. Positioning here, obviously immediate resistance, we're going to be looking at 66. Beyond that, we have 67 cents as a resistance. And for the euro, obviously the order block that we were looking at, that has again kept the market from progressing any higher on the euro here. Stochastics and the RSI looks a little bit flat. The price does look a little bit flat, but if we look at the price action here, we are staring at a very strong resistance here, basically from 1.16 to 1.1650, and so far price has not been able to push back up above 1.16 on the Euro USD. So yeah, further failure around this level here this week, then we're likely going to be seeing a potential for weaker euro going forward here. All right, sterling recovered a little bit better here, but the formation that we're looking at here, if we take a look at what's going on, if we take a look at the first low in the month of October, that's about 1.33. So this level is currently being tested here right now, which is at about 1.33. So let me just draw that line for you here. This is basically the level that we are keeping an eye out for. That's about 1.3250 to 1.33, and rejections around this level here, then we might actually see price continue to push down. Obviously, one thing to note, there is a potential channel being formed here. So we do need to break below this channel here for any downtrend continuation. And that's basically what a lot of traders are going to be looking out for on the sterling in the month of December. All right, lastly, we have the Dow Japanese yen. And last week we warned in the outlook that we have gone on a steeper trend here on the Dow yen, and it does look like a potential for a distribution phase in the market, and that's basically what we got. We got a very sharp drop on the Dow Japanese yen, and I don't think the drop is actually pretty complete yet as of at time of recording, and there might actually be a room for further drop to the downside. Obviously, there's going to be two levels to keep an eye out for. The first one is actually about 154.50 to 154. The second one is actually going to be about 153. So these are going to be the two levels of potential corrections on the Dow Japanese yen. Obviously, if we take a look at how deep that correction is going to be, it might actually look pretty huge, right? Considering where price has been at about 157, 158, that pullback to 154, 153, it is going to be significant. But on a grand scale of things, it's technically still in an uptrend. It is just a correction, and even pulling back to 153, that's only about 50% Fibonacci. It's actually just about 50% retracement there. It can even go down to 152, where the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement is located, and that's how it's likely going to be playing out for the month of December. So we do want to see a little bit of a technical correction happening here on the Dow Japanese yen, but yeah, underlying fundamentals, I just don't see a reason for any strengthening on the Japanese yen at this point in time, and considering all the political circus going on over there. So yeah, this is what it is. We're currently looking at the Japanese yen keeping its upward trajectory there. We do expect that technical correction there to happen. It is selling off pretty quickly here, and I think that's actually a plus, because that would actually bring down the stochastics really quickly, and it might actually create more of a hidden bullish divergence on the Dow Japanese yen potentially for the month of December. So something to keep an eye out for. All right, so with that, good luck with your trades for this week, and I'll see you soon.